put on the spot because these are sort of policy decisions. But one thing I wanted to make a plug for, and that is the careFIJI app. Now, one of the ways that people actually assess your capacity to deal with the pandemic is your contact tracing. Now, I was just listening to an interview by Prime Minister Scott Morrison just 2 nights ago, fairly sort of hard-hitting interview on, I think, 7:30, and one of the things he did talk about is the app that Australia has. There's a 40% uptake of that app, which is actually relatively quite high. That same app, the source code, and the Singapore one is exactly what we are using. We've tweaked it a little bit. And in fact, ours is quite liberal, but it's quite surprising the sort of level of apprehension by people in Fiji, not understanding the big picture. And people who are very well educated, I tried to explain in very simple terms. The first question they asked me is, will you know where I was? We don't record which hotel room you were in at that point in time, where you were, who you were with. Quite surprising. Believe you me, it does not happen. All it simply does, if all of you have your apps on now, you've been here for more than 15 minutes, you're less than 2 meters away from each other, the Bluetooth from your phone bounces off the Bluetooth of the other phone. If, God forbid, in a week's time, for example, or 3 days' time, one of us has COVID-19, what they will ask you is, who were you with in close contact for more than 15 minutes? You can't remember everybody in this room. Humanly impossible to remember that. So, all this does is it records, it's a 28-day turnover. So, every day, 1 day drops off. All it does, it records the number that has been close proximity with. Nobody will know that number until such time there's a need for it. So, for example, if I get COVID-19, I'll use myself as an example. If I get COVID-19, then they'll give me an access code, and then I put the PIN number myself. Then those phone numbers, all of your phone numbers, will go directly to the Ministry of Health dashboard. What they'll then do is they won't know we were at the Holiday Inn. They won't know whether you're holding hands with each other under the table. All they'll simply do is all those numbers will appear. They'll dial those numbers and say, excuse me, you were in a room with somebody, or you were close to somebody who's actually got COVID-19. Can you please come in? We need to test you. Or how are you feeling? Do you have a runny nose, sore throat, whatever it is? So it expedites your ability to contact trace. Now, what people don't realize is that when Australia and New Zealand will be looking at Fiji's app, they'll look at how many people have already downloaded it. When the Australian tourist, if the bubble is opened up soon, says, yes, I can go to Fiji, they are COVID contained. In the event that there is somebody with COVID-19, they can trace really quickly and tell me because they've got an app. Numerous studies from Oxford University, various other universities that shows that digital contact tracing is one of the best ways of contact trace and is very efficient. And it can be done really quickly. So all of you, if you don't have your Fiji Care or careFIJI app on, you're actually being very irresponsible. Seriously. You want to talk about business, you want to talk about travel, you want to talk about travel bubble, you're completely irresponsible by not having the app on. And I bet you most of you don't have it on. You're completely irresponsible. Because this is actually a team effort. You need to have the app on. All it simply does is records the numbers and it falls off every day, and it actually builds up our credentials. So far, we have the last count, I just got the count, is about 50,000 downloads. Even if you take there's about 630,000 people in Fiji who are above the age of 18. That's not even 10% so far. If we were able to go to Australia and New Zealand, if we were able to say to them, look guys, 30%, 40% of our population actually have downloaded the app. It gives a lot more credibility when you stand up and say, let's open up the travel bubble. gives us a lot more credibility. And it gives a lot more confidence to the people who want to travel to Fiji.